Good evening, everyone. Welcome to NTD Tonight. I'm David Zhang. Here are some of today's top stories. Dr. Anthony Fauci testified before Congress. What did he say about the origins of COVID-19 and the U.S. response to the pandemic? Jury selection was underway in Hunter Biden's trial on felony gun charges in Delaware. People of San Francisco are fed up with the stolen items being sold on the streets. Officials want vendors to have permits and proof of purchase or get booted off. First up, today, Dr. Anthony Fauci testified before Congress on the origins of COVID-19, as well as how the U.S. responded to the pandemic. Lawmakers on the House Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic questioned Fauci on his role in the outbreak.
The accusation being circulated that I influenced these scientists to change their minds by bribing them with millions of dollars in grant money is absolutely false and simply preposterous. I had no input into the content of the published paper. The second issue is a false accusation that I tried to cover up the possibility that the virus originated from a lab. In fact, the truth is exactly the opposite.
This is Fauci's first public testimony since retiring as director of the National Institutes of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. Fauci continued to deny allegations that he helped cover up the lab leak theory in the early stages of the pandemic. The rest of his testimony touted how fast the U.S. was able to develop the vaccine. Fauci's testimony came as a nonprofit government watchdog released a report on the National Institutes for Health, or NIH. OpenTheBooks.com reports that secret royalty payments from drug companies to scientists, researchers, executives, and other employees of the NIH exploded following the pandemic in 2021. The NIH comprises multiple federal institutes, including the one Fauci directed. Jury selection was underway today in Hunter Biden's trial on felony gun charges in Wilmington, Delaware. This is the first time in American history that the child of the sitting president is on trial, and the historic case could impact President Joe Biden's re-election campaign. The indictment was brought by special counsel David Weiss, appointed last year to oversee the Hunter Biden probes. The two sides need to select 12 jurors and 4 alternatives. About 250 prospective jurors could be called in. Hunter Biden is facing 3 charges related to possessing a gun while using narcotics. He has pleaded not guilty. The entire trial is expected to last 2 weeks. In a statement this morning, the president said, quote, "As the president, I don't and won't comment on pending federal cases. But as a dad, I have boundless love for my son, confidence in him, and a respect for his strength." Several Biden family members are in the courthouse today, including First Lady Jill Biden, the president's daughter Ashley Biden, and Hunter Biden's wife Melissa Cohen. Hunter faces a maximum sentence of 25 years in prison if he is convicted on all counts. A developing situation with the stock market, the New York Stock Exchange is investigating a technical issue after certain stocks were affected by dramatic price fluctuations. The announcement came as Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway and dozens of other stocks were halted. New York Stock Exchange trading data wrongly showed Berkshire Hathaway down 99%. The shares of AMC Entertainment, Chipotle, and GameStop were also affected. The New York Stock Exchange said the technical issue is related to a mechanism designed to prevent stock prices from swinging wildly. Media outlets and the ruling party declared ruling party candidate Claudia Sheinbaum the winner of Mexico's presidential election after polls closed on Sunday. That puts her on course to become the country's first female president. The head of the ruling Morena party, Mario Delgado, told supporters in Mexico City that Sheinbaum had won by a very large margin. One exit poll gave her a landslide of 56% of the vote. Mexico's largest ever elections have also been its most violent in modern history, with the killing of some 38 candidates. On Sunday, 2 people were killed at polling stations in Puebla State. The deadly violence has stoked concerns about the threat posed to democracy by warring drug cartels. Scheinbaum, who has convincingly led in opinion polls over her main competitor Zakaito Galvez, will be tasked with confronting organized crime violence and reviving a sluggish economy. The winner is set to begin a 6-year term on October 1st. A convicted murderer has been sentenced to death in Idaho for a triple homicide case. In the state, the death penalty for execution is allowed by lethal injection or a firing squad.
Chad Daybell has been sentenced to death for the murders of his wife's 2 youngest children and his first wife, Tammy Daybell, in Idaho. The sentence was handed down Saturday after an Idaho jury unanimously agreed that imposing the death penalty would be a just resolution to the triple murder case.
The jury has made a finding that it would be appropriate to impose the death penalty as it relates to counts 1 through 6 in the amended indictment. And so pursuant to Idaho Code 192515, the court is directed that the defendant would be sentenced to death on those counts.
The sentence marks the end of a grim investigation that began with a search for 2 missing children in 2019. The next year, their bodies were found buried in Daybell's eastern Idaho yard. Daybell and his wife, Lori Vallow Daybell, were charged with multiple counts of murder, conspiracy, and grand theft in connection with the deaths of 7-year-old Joshua J.J. Vallow and 16-year-old Tylee Ryan. They were also charged with conspiracy and murder of Tammy Daybell. To impose the death penalty, the jurors had to unanimously find that Daybell met at least one of the aggravating circumstances that state law says qualifies someone for capital punishment. Idaho law allows for execution by lethal injection or firing squad, though firing squad executions have never been used in the state. Vallow Daybell was convicted last year and sentenced to life in prison without parole.
Following another trash bag theft at CVS where 6 suspects are charged, San Francisco officials are cracking down on shoplifting and the selling of stolen items on the streets. Cops would have the ability to cite sellers on the streets who are selling items without permits. NTD's David Lamb reports.
San Francisco officials want to protect its legitimate street vendors from those selling stolen items, also known as fencing.
Fencing of stolen goods on our streets is a major issue in parts of San Francisco, particularly in the Mission, in the Tenderloin, South of Market, and other neighborhoods.
Officials are proposing Senate Bill 925, where the city would be able to ask vendors to show a legitimate permit and proof of purchase for certain items that are frequently stolen.
We're community and we don't get down with fencing, but we will always support our culture, our history of street vending, and our community and our entrepreneurs.
The list of items that will need permits will be decided by the city. If cited by the 3rd time for selling without permits, people can be charged with a misdemeanor and up to 6 months in jail. This does not apply to food vendors.
There is a huge difference between those who are vending in terms of making a living, selling their goods that they make, that they've produced, and that they're out there supporting the community, and the people who are fencing, who are stealing items from our brick and mortar places that are creating a lot of problems.
Weiner says city employees have been assaulted for confronting illegal fencing.
We have recovered thousands of items of stolen goods from these illegal fencing markets over just this year alone. And I'm optimistic that this momentum will continue because of this legislation.
Days before this announcement, 6 people were charged with organized retail theft from CVS, according to the district attorney. The suspects were ages 19 to 25, and law enforcement recovered makeup, diapers, hygiene products, batteries, and other items. One supervisor says she's planning to introduce a law to support SB 925 on Tuesday. David Lamb, NTD News, California.
Be sure to stay hydrated. Severe heat is expected to scorch western parts of the U.S., from Arizona to California this week. Temperatures could soar into triple digits. NTD's Christina Corona provides us with the latest weather update.
According to the National Weather Service, excessive heat warnings are in effect for more than 10 million people in California, Nevada, and Arizona this week. Starting Tuesday, an excessive heat warning is issued for California's Valley region, with temperatures possibly reaching 108 degrees, from Redding to Bakersfield. On Wednesday, the warning extends from Las Vegas to Lake Havasu City, Arizona. By Thursday or Friday, temperatures could soar to 112 degrees in Las Vegas, Phoenix, and Palm Springs, California. If Las Vegas exceeds 110 degrees on Thursday, it will be the earliest in June the city has reached such temperatures. Phoenix might break its daily record of 111 degrees set in 2016 on the same day. Reno, Nevada, and Fresno, California will also approach daily records on Thursday. This extreme heat poses a significant health risk, potentially causing heat cramps and heat exhaustion, which can lead to heat stroke without intervention. Further north, temperatures in Salt Lake City and Boise, Idaho could reach the mid-90s. Christina Corona, NTD News.
We'll take a short break now, everybody, but here's a look at what we have for you when we come back. Cucumbers from a Florida farm recalled over potential salmonella contamination. Gable Steveson, a wrestling Olympic gold medalist, signs with the Buffalo Bills, joining the NFL. It's cherry season in California. A local farmer shares about the different types and advice for buying great tasting cherries. Those stories and more coming up on NTD Tonight. Welcome back to NTD Tonight. I'm your host, David Zhang. The Food and Drug Administration announced a recall of cucumbers from a Florida farm. It's due to a potential link to a salmonella outbreak that has affected at least 141 people. NTD's Christina Corona has more on the story.
Fresh Start Produce Sales Incorporated, based in Delray, Florida, is recalling whole cucumbers shipped in bulk cartons from May 17th to May 21st, 2024. These were sent to retail distribution centers, wholesalers, and food service distributors in 14 states. The recalled cucumbers are dark green, about 1.5 to 2 inches in diameter, and 5 to 9 inches long. According to the FDA, mini cucumbers and English cucumbers are not included in this recall. The recall was initiated following a test by the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture, which detected bacteria capable of causing severe and potentially fatal injections in young children, the elderly, and individuals with weakened immune systems. According to the FDA, healthy individuals infected with salmonella often experience symptoms such as fever, diarrhea, which may be bloody, nausea, vomiting, and abdominal pain. These symptoms can persist for 4 to 7 days and may result in hospitalization or death. Anyone with the recalled product should not consume it. They should destroy and discard it or return it to the place of purchase for a refund. Consumers should check with their retailer or place of purchase to determine if the recalled cucumbers were sold where they shop. Christina Corona, NTD News.
Rupert Murdoch got married again at age 93 over the weekend. Murdoch is the former head of the News Corporation, which gave birth to news giants like Fox News and the Wall Street Journal. This is Murdoch's 5th marriage. NTD's Jason Blair has more.
News Corporation confirmed that Murdoch married Elena Zhukova at his California Vineyard estate on Saturday. Zhukova is 63 years old and a retired Russian molecular biologist. Their engagement was announced in March. Murdoch has had 4 previous marriages. His third wife, Wendy Murdoch, is a Chinese-born entrepreneur, investor, movie producer, and art collector. Daily Mail reported in 2014 that a series of emails led to a suspicion that Wendy had an affair with former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair. Both Wendy and Blair have denied the allegations. Murdoch and Wendy were married in 1999 and divorced in 2013. News Corporation is the parent company of many media giants such as Fox News, The Wall Street Journal, and The New York Post. Murdoch stepped down from his roles in News Corporation and Fox News last fall, and his son Lach Long stepped up to take the lead. Jason Blair, NTD News.
Now let's turn to sports, where Olympic gold medalist Gable Steveson is making headlines. The wrestler is joining the NFL's Buffalo Bills. NTD's Carlos Reyes has more on the story.
Gable Steveson, an Olympic gold medalist and one of the most dominant wrestlers in NCAA history, is making an unexpected leap to the NFL. The 24-year-old phenom has signed a standard rookie 3-year deal with the Buffalo Bills, as confirmed by his agent Carter Chow. Stevenson, known for his explosive power and agility on the wrestling mat, is now setting his sights on the gridiron, aiming to join the exclusive ranks of athletes who have won both a Super Bowl ring and Olympic gold medal. Bob Hayes remains still as the only person to have achieved this remarkable feat. The Bills announced Stevenson signing on Friday, marking the beginning of a new chapter in his athletic career. Despite never having played football, the 6'1", 275-pound powerhouse is expected to transition to the defensive line. His first experience with football cleats came just recently during a workout with the Bills. Stevenson acknowledges the challenges ahead, but is enthusiastic about the opportunity. He expressed gratitude to Coach Sean McDermott, General Manager Brandon Beane, and the entire Buffalo Bills organization for this unique chance to test his wrestling skills on the football field. Coach McDermott, who himself has a background in wrestling, sees great potential in Stevenson. Although he is raw, Stevenson's remarkable athleticism and competitive spirit make him a promising candidate, potentially starting on the practice squad in 2024. The Bills have a strong track record of developing defensive tackles with similar builds, adding to the optimism surrounding Stevenson's signing. Stevenson's athletic resume is nothing short of impressive. He clinched a gold medal in freestyle wrestling at the Tokyo Summer Olympics and returned to the University of Minnesota to earn the title of Big Ten Athlete of the Year in 2022. Throughout his college career, Stevenson won 2 national championships and 3 Big Ten championships, and he was a 2-time recipient of the Dan Hodge Trophy, wrestling's equivalent of the Heisman Trophy. Prior to this NFL venture, Stevenson was signed by WWE in 2021, but was released earlier this month. Carlos Reyes, NTD News.
It's cherry season in California. NTD hears from a cherry farmer about the different types and advice for buying great tasting cherries.
Pete Delgado's farm in Northern California grows coral, rainier, and lapin cherries. This year, they are selling them at the annual Cherry Festival in San Leandro, California.
The coral by nature is sweeter once it fully ripens. The rainier is also sweet, but it's sweet with a fresh taste to it, so it doesn't overwhelm you with that sweetness afterwards.
Delgado recommends buying cherries that are grown locally for optimum freshness and taste.
We grow here, we sell here. Other companies, or other farmers, if they grow out of state and they have to transport to California, unfortunately they would have to pick before they ripen. Sometimes the process of being in the coolers and shipping them out in frozen coolers or coolers that are actually keeping the produce cold, by the time it arrives, it doesn't ripen correctly, or the ripen process just goes out of whack, and so therefore it will lose the taste and the flavor.
Local residents say they can taste the difference.
And the Brooks cherries are sweet and tart and perfectly crisp.
And what's your favorite?
I like the red ones. I think one year we found, what was it with an L?
Lapin cherries.
Yes,
Lapin.
Really
those are the best ever. We look for those every year.
They're really good. They're super sweet.
We eat them straight off the tree. We eat them out of the bag. We just eat tons of cherries.
Besides eating them fresh, others buy them as ingredients.
We have people that actually will come to our orchard and buy crates because they're going to do wine. So I can't, give you recipes. I know that, for example, the lapin cherry is a very high seller for people that actually are going to use for pies, jams, salads, because it's sweet, but it has the tartness right at the end.
For Susan Sakura, she looks forward to the cherry pie contest. It is her second year entering. Last year, she won second place in the traditional pie baking contest.
Mine only has cherries, and you have to put something to make the juice thick so it doesn't run all over. Just a little bit of sugar, and then a little bit of spices.
The Cherry Festival kicked off with a parade in downtown and ended with booths of cherries, other merchandise, entertainment, and events.
A young student graduated much earlier than her average peers, where the majority are usually still in elementary. She received a college-level degree from one Southern California school.
Athena Elling is 11 years old. She got her associate's degree from Irvine Valley College this year. Through a dual enrollment program, she took high school level courses early, community college classes as well. She was motivated after watching her older brother get his degree from the same school last year. She took the same courses as he did, but she graduated about 5 months younger than he was.
Stay tuned for China in Focus with Tiffany Meyer coming up next. 4 in 5 U.S. law enforcement officers use drones from a Chinese military company. Lawmakers fear the devices could send live imagery of U.S. military installations to China. What's stopping them from ousting the drones from American skies? More on China in Focus with Tiffany Meyer at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. And that's what we've got for you tonight. We'd like you to join us again on NTD Tonight every weekday at 9 p.m. I'm David Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.